Huỳnh Tiểu Hương. She wants to build up a vihara behind the center to purify herself because she thinks that she faces impending worries and burden to her during days. So when nights fall, she wants to spend some time purifying her soul, making it more relaxed and gently. Such a way lets her feel assured to have a nap. This woman always thinks that all of the material wealth in the world can be identified with ephemeral and temporary stuff. Only has the real emotion among the human beings been permanent and unchanged or invariant to the course of time. When it comes to the point, the professor and she have the same viewpoint because he is not only a scientist, a cool-hand physician, and a poet who has rolled down the Zen verses that are quiet and magical, but very familiar with the normal life via the poetic clouds of Yên Tử and the book of Hoa Lư poems. He also thinks that in the realm of ignorance, the physical world and human realms are impermanent. Fame desire only uplifts the worldly affection and hinders the human steps towards getting out of desires and sufferings. In fact, we possess nothing. We are only pure witnesses to observe everything in the world gone by. Thus, he absolutely favors the vihara construction. When he knows she is planning to build a school and a clinic for the orphan children and the unhappy to further facilitate their education and healthcare checkup, he has also paid much attention to them and hoped that he can make his contribution to realizing these good targets with her. We believe that despite years gone by, though life experiences ups and downs, the good emotion he has devoted to Miss Huỳnh Tiểu Hương and the center's orphan and disabled children is going to stay unchanged, like the confiding lines he has written in the center's Golden Guest book. I am actually moved with the respectable infection of Miss Huỳnh Tiểu Hương, a Vietnamese woman who has surmounted all her life's challenges and plights to win her fate, a rarely warm-hearted personality in the world. In the upcoming time, these unhappy children being brought up by her and Quê Hương Charity Center are going to become useful citizens to the society. They are to forever remember the center and their childhood. They are to be carving into their hearts the image of the so gentle mother who has spent countless time to bring them up. What else is happier than to call out happiness to other ones in this life? With the heart constantly loving the national origins and the benevolence to the world, and the enthusiastic scientists and poets' love, soaked with the gratitude to the ancestors, he is then to further carry out more benevolence to the life and the human beings, so that the life is to become brighter and more meaningful. On January the 12th of 2012, at the main hall of Trúc Lâm Yên Tử Zen Monastery in Uông Bí City, Quảng Ninh Province, Quảng Ninh Provincial People Committee solemnly held a ceremony to mark Vietnam's record to the book named The Poetic Clouds of Yên Tử of Professor Dr. Hoàng Quang Thuận. Being present at the ceremony are Professor Dr. Phạm Vũ Luận, a member of the Central Party Committee, Head of Ministry of Education and Training, or MOET, Mr. Nguyễn Thanh Sơn, Deputy of Ministry of Foreign Affairs, or MOFA, Chairman of Vietnam UNESCO Committee, Mr. Nguyễn Mạnh Thắng, Deputy Secretary General of the National Committee of UNESCO Vietnam, Mr. Lê Trần Trường An, Director of Vietnam Records Books, leaders of Quảng Ninh Provincial People Committee, the Superior Venerable Thích Tuệ Phúc, head of Lân Pagoda, along with his management board, and almost 1,000 monks, nuns, and Buddhists from provinces and cities nationwide. On behalf of the organizing committee, Mr. Lê Trần Trường An offered the record-setting certificate set up by the Poetic Clouds of Yên Tử to Professor Dr. Hoàng Quang Thuận. Immediately, Mr. Thuận respectfully handed the book to the representative of Trúc Lâm Yên Tử Zen Monastery, so that it is to be located at the main hall's heart. The poetic clouds of Yên Tử is 125 by 80 and by 16 centimeters, with the weight of 120 kilograms and 300 pages. Its spine is made of mahogany, inscribed with the line of the poetic clouds of Yên Tử and decorated with lotus patterns. Its covers are also of mahogany, with finely etched patterns. In the first cover is the inscription of the highest-ranking Charo Võ Nguyên Giáp. Its pages are made of specialized papers with the facial bronze drum pattern. In the front of the pages, 143 poems of Mr. Thuận are printed within the pattern, attached with 143 photographs by Phạm Tú photographer. In the back stands the 143 poems, rewritten by Mr. Trần Quốc Ẩn by Vietnamese calligraphy. The pages are all coated with a protective laminate layer. Mr. Thuận said the book takes its inspiration from his trip to Yên Tử Mountain in 1997, along with the Buddhists from the south. Being inspired by the majestic, sacred, and beautiful mountain, he wrote down 63 poems in a row during his 3 nights there. 4 years later, along with some members of Vietnam UNESCO Committee, he visited and rebuilt Vân Tiêu Pagoda. Within 3 nights, Mr. Thuận brought about 80 new poems named The Lion Clouds of Yên Tử. The 143 poems book has been translated into English and French and sent to compete for the Nobel Prize in Literature at the Swedish Academy. By 2011, along with calligraphy Trần Quốc Ẩn and photographer Phạm Tú, Mr. Thuận took great pains to complete the single version book in almost 1 year and then offered it to Trúc Lâm Yên Tử Zen Monastery so that visitors from everywhere can admire it. According to some experts, Zen Poems of Vietnam has been long-standing, but there weren't any books of poetry about Yên Tử Mountain, which are as systematic and abundant as the book of the Poetic Clouds of Yên Tử by Mr. Thuận. The contents of these 134 quatrain poems in Tang poetry style have been profound, pure, and noble, capturing the excitingly nice scenes and long-standing sacrality and mettle of Yên Tử Sacred Mountain. With uniquely poetic values, the single version book of the Poetic Clouds of Yên Tử is to be a comprehensive perspective on Yên Tử history and culture, which are harmonious in faith, poetry, and calligraphy, contributing to stepping up, preserving, and extending Yên Tử cultural values to the utmost.